he rode that machine as well as so many other riders from Northern Ireland had so much success. So that bike really is an iconic, one of the most iconic machines that's here. And of course Carl Fogarty there on the RC45. Joey had some fantastic races on that. Everybody will remember the 99, especially the Ulster Grand Prix, the Superbike race, where he beat David Jeffries on that occasion. Fantastic. And as I say, it's great to see them out. As we see Ryan Farquhar now heading out there on one of Joey's 250 Honda Britain machines. Ryan, of course, very, very successful rider here with the most road race wins ever. So it's nice to see him out on one of Joey's bikes as well there.
Yeah, Farquhar, he's not shy riding a 250. He's been riding a 250. He's got his own here, of course, the Ewan Transport RS250 Honda. So
yeah, and that was the bike that really got Ryan noticed as well, because he finished third at the Ulster Grand Prix, I think 97, I think it was, on that bike. And again then after that he signed, because he rode for the Ewing Brothers Transport there up in Dungannon. That was the guys that owned that bike, and then he went on to be signed by McAdoo Racing, and well, the rest, as they say, is history. And he had some fantastic races as well.
You see Carl Fogarty here again on the RC45. Stunning machine, isn't it?
Fantastic bike. Carl Fogarty, of course, took the Formula 1 World Championship off Joey after Joey won it for 5 times. And the night of that they won the championship, I think it was Donington Park, was the last round of that championship that year. And Joey made his way and stopped off in Blackburn that night and went to Carl Fogarty's party. So there wouldn't be very many would be doing that nowadays. But that showed you what Joey was, even though the man that took the crown off him, if you like. He was still there to help him celebrate his first Formula 1 and only Formula 1 World Championship, and then it went to World Superbikes, and of course Carl Fogarty went on to win 5 of them.
Yeah, we're going to go back to Stephen then. He's got someone down there.
Well, that is Michael Rutter on one of Joey Dunlop's machines. Michael Rutter with a big cheer from the crowd here, followed behind by Steve Cull, one of Northern Ireland's best ever motorcycle national road racers. Steve Cull, who once beat Carl Fogarty at the Northwest 200 way back in the day. But the lineup of riders here is incredible. We've got Adrian Archibald with me. Adrian, are you enjoying the day?
Yeah, it's been great so far, and massive crowd about it. Just pity about a wee bit of rain, but it's good to be here.
It's great to see you out. Enjoy your run. We've got an array of champions still to come here. Just have a look at that lineup getting ready to come out here. It's pretty amazing. That is one of Joey's former teammates, Alex George. Honda Britain rider. And I'll go back to the commentary team.
See there again, Ryan Farquhar on the RS250 Honda. He flew in from the Isle of Man.
That's right, a few of the boys flew in this evening in the helicopter. Thankfully the weather was good enough to get them in, but I was speaking to Ryan this morning, funny enough, and he was really looking forward to this. And I think it's an honour for all these guys to be invited to ride these bikes of Joey's. Ran, of course, his own 250, but
number 1,
as he points to the Joey's name there on the side of the fairing and saying he's number 1. And of course, the legacy that Joey has left with the wins and so many different bikes, from 125 to 2-stroke bikes up to superbikes, 4-stroke superbikes on roads, short circuits, all of that.
Yeah.
And it was, over that career, 30 odd years, it really is fantastic when you look back in the history books and see what Joey actually did achieve. And one of them was, we're looking at Stephen Cull on the SP1, another great rival and great friend of Joey's. And of course, that bike is a replica, of course, of the SP1 that Joey went at 48 years of age and beat all the young fellas in the Superbike race at the Isle of Man TT. You couldn't ride it.
Got the hot trick that year.
And he got the hot trick with 125 and 250 as well.
You don't see that too often now. There's that many riders who could jump off a 125 onto a Superbike and then back to a 250. You know, but again, cost is a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, that's it. And back then, you know, there was so many classes, but so different. Like yourself, you've rode 2 strokes, like myself, and 4-stroke and 2-stroke, and there's a vast difference. It's one thing being able to ride them, but it's to go out and like of the TT there, we're talking about Joey with 125, 250 and Superbike, and be able to go out and win all 3 classes. Like it's fantastic when you look back.
It is great. See Adrian Archibald there on the Taz Suzuki.
Yes, and Adrian, of course, from Ballymoney, another famous name in the world of road racing. And Adrian had some great successes as well in the Regal 600 class, and of course won the big races at the TT as well. So good to see him out there as well as Alex George. Going back a bit further, you would hardly remember that, Gareth. Unfortunately, I do.
That's before I was born, Jeff.
But yes, Alex George was done all those races as well, British Championships, and of course TT, and he was Joey's teammate with Honda in the early days. And great record, a great of successes for Alex George there as well. One of the top men. I can remember him riding the old Kajiva, the 500 Kajiva, which was basically a copy of an RG 500 Suzuki back in the day. But
Lovely.
Yes, one of the front runners done up the Northwest and all as well. So very fond of coming here.
Yeah, and he's a book out as well. Alex George, he's had a fine career, and a difficult one too at the same time.
One. Yeah. As most people did. I mean, going back to Joey, it was humble beginnings. From what he started, and he made it right through. But it never changed the man.
No.
That's what makes us so special, and that's why he had such a big fan base, because he would probably be wondering what this is all about. Because, as we all know, he wasn't one for the fame side of things, and we've seen his Mini, this iconic Mini, driving around there with the family in it, and of course one of his old race fans. And it's great to see that tells you what he was, basically. You know, he just was happy enough driving a Mini. There was no sports cars or fancy cars or anything else, and he was just a humble man.
Yes, the Mini, was it the Mini Traveller with the race bikes in the back of it, in the trailer, and he just went to the races at the start.
That's how he started. That's how it all started. But and I'm sure then he wouldn't have envisioned the career that he ended up having.
No. Adrian Archibald there, he had to go on a MotoGP Ducati.
That's right.
At the Classic Bike Festival, and he said it was shockingly fast until he realised he was only half throttle, and it was hard enough work for him to hold on to the bike, never mind getting it round the track. You know, it was just in a straight line. It just wanted to keep going. But Adrian Archibald there, it's great to see him back in the scene. He went off there a wee bit for. He's done a bit of push bike racing. So he did.
Good to see him here.
Yep.
And that's him out now on one of the Harris 600 Hondas, of course, that Joey rode for many years for John Harris, good friend, a good sponsor also of Joey. And that was the thing about Joey as well. He was very, very loyal to all his sponsors, whoever. He just seemed to stay with the same people right throughout his career. And John Harris, I remember being a bit surprised when he actually went to the 600 class. This is Leon Haslam on another one of them here.
See Leon with his father Ron as well. Ron's
Ron
here.
I think Ron is out on the RS 500 Honda, which he rode for many years, as did Joey. Joey had, I think, 2 or maybe 3 of the 500s that he rode. He had the V-twin one as well, of course. But he had some fantastic races on that 3-cylinder 500 Grand Prix bike.
The 500, another one there, Wayne Gardner rode it as well up there, the one that Joey rode.
Yep, and of course another teammate of Joey's, and he went on to, of course, to be 500 world champion in 1987. But he started off Wayne Gardner with Honda Britain, and he was a teammate of Joey's at that time in the early 80s.
It's great to see so many of his machines here. I got here at 11 o'clock this morning, and I didn't stop walking until we came back up into the commentary box here.
Yeah, it is great to see them, and we probably won't see this again, where we have so many of Joey's bikes, and there's so many more of them on display. And I know a few of the guys have been putting a bit of effort in, because the bikes have been sitting in a garage or a shed or whatever, that they've all been got going again, should we say. And so a good few of them has been stripped down, and seals and different stuff, to make sure they're going to keep going for this iconic parade.
There's the Ray racing machine, of course. Ray, one of the first big sponsors of Joey Dunlop, getting them onto the road.
That's right, and that's the 250 there.
And I've seen the Yamsel here as well, so I don't think he was able to get it going, was he, the Yamsel?
Not sure. There was one of them was on only one cylinder as I was walking down.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's got that sorted. But the Amsel, and I'm sure for a lot of the younger people around the course here listening to us, was a Yamaha built with a Seeley frame, the old Yamaha frames that came out at the time. The Japanese material wasn't as good, shall we say, as what it is today, but the frames had a habit of breaking.
Yeah.
And of course with the road races that they weren't really built for. They were built for Grand Prix racing, not road races around here, the likes of the Temple and the Carador and places like that. So they built them into a Seeley frame, and that's how they became Yamaha, with Seeley, and then they were called then the Yamsel.
Or a Bitsa. We've all had a Bitsa, haven't we? I've got one myself, as you've seen Ian Simpson there.
Ian Simpson, again, another teammate of Joey, Honda Britain, Northwest TT Grand Prix winner 5 times, British champion, Ian Simpson. Really, really nice guy. Now is he on the RC45?
He's on, yes.
I think he's put on the. We'll get a look at it on the screen again.
So laid back, isn't he?
So laid back.
In
fact, I think that's Phillip McCallen, I think, going down past there. But anyway, yes, Ian Simpson, fantastic rider. Again, one of those guys that could do it on the roads, do it on the short circuits. He's only retired there. Fortunately, his father, Bill, who was a great engineer, passed away there earlier in the year. But Ian, I spoke to him about the RC45s. I know Joey loves the RC30, as did Ian Simpson. But he wasn't that keen on the RC45. Remember telling me, obviously he couldn't say that at the time.
No.
But he said the RC45 didn't steer as well as the RC30. But and
I've heard a story that in the World Championships with the RC45, they had all the technicians from Japan trying to sort out the handling of the bikes. Our wee man from Ballymoney at the TT one time stayed up late after hours. The Honda didn't know what he was doing and stuck a 250 front wheel into the RC45. A 17-inch wheel made it handle that wee bit better.
And that was the thing with them, as we look at another World Championship rider here, Eugene Laverty, out on the Gemini Oil 250 Honda. It's great to see him here as well. Jonathan Ray and Eugene Laverty, 2 of the last boys that we've had in World Championship racing.
Yeah. Eugene's getting on a sabbatical at the moment.
And he's on a 250, and of course he rode in 250 Grand Prix before he went to World Supersport. Eugene done a couple of seasons, I think, on the 250 Grand Prix scene. But yeah, going back to Ian Simpson, he said he didn't like the RC45. No. He said it was too nervous on the front, but obviously Joey liked it. He loved the RC45 and proved many times of just how good he was on it.
See all the fans here. It's great to see so many flocking to Ballymoney, and they were talking about maybe if, because obviously the TT's coming up this week, and it's, there's a lot of people who would love to be here that unfortunately can't. And then I heard the security were like, I don't think Ballymoney could hold any more people.
Well, I'm only back this morning from being away, and I know the traffic at about 2 o'clock, and it was slow the whole way from Clockmill, so I knew there was going to be a lot of people here.
Michael Rutter here on the Honda Britain
45
RC45, lovely machine. And
it's
look
fantastic.
At the front forks. It's a lot of the machines that I've been looking around here today. I've been into the wells, and I love the mechanical side of things.
Yeah. It's
Brian Reid.
There were some bits of kit in the day, the Superbikes, those RC45s or whatever. They really did up the level, should we say. Yes, we're looking at Brian Reid, of course, Formula 2 world champion twice, same time world champion as what Joey was.
Yeah.
We had 2 world champions in motorcycling and 1 in boxing. Barry McGuigan, Joey and Brian were all world champions in the 1 year. Looking back there, Michael McGarvey, another good rider from here. And Michael was actually, as we look at Jeremy McWilliams now, on another one of the Gemini 250s there. And Jeremy McWilliams needs no introduction to 250s. He rode in the Grand Prix for years. But Michael's on screen there, Michael McGarvey from Kesh. And apparently it was one of Michael's 125s that Joey had his first ever run on. And he actually went out and beat younger brother Robert. And Robert was the top 125 man then, himself and Brian Hewitt. Another good rider from here. Brian's out the parade here as well somewhere. So that was the first time. And then Joey went 125 racing after that, but that was after he crashed at Brands Hatch in 1989.
Yeah, I was going to say it was really late on. He never jumped on a 125 at all up until.
Yeah, it's the 125 class came back to the TT from the 60s, and it came back to the TT in 89. Joey, of course, crashed. Not his own fault, but the accident. He broke his femur really badly and had to get it repinned a couple of times, and. So he went to the smaller capacity bikes, and that was why, because the 125s had just come back to the TT, and Joey just rode 125s and 250s, I think, for most of he had to only come back about halfway through the following season. But that particular bike there, your grandfather bought one of those 125s off Joey.
Yes, that's right.
Trevor rode that. That's the only bike I've ever rode at Joey's, because Trevor gave me a run on it in a practice session at Killalane.
Is that right?
The wee Gemini 125. Apparently, it took about a week to buy the bike that time with your Uncle Trevor and your grandfather, because they come up to do the deal, and I think every night your grandfather went home drunk. So
that sounds about right.
Obviously, the dealing was being done in Joey's bar, but yes, apparently it took about a week to buy. But they finally got to buy the bike, and Trevor rode that for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, they've dealing back and forth. My Uncle Trevor and Joey Dunlop himself. Remember. Obviously at the TT back in the day there was no PlayStations, there was no onboards, so Trevor hooked on to Joey. He says, I'm running my 250 and follow me, I'm going to take it easy anyway. Of course, by the time they got to the Balot Bridge, Joey forgot about him and Trevor nearly ended up on the side of the bar. But yeah, he's been Trevor also rode Joey's Yamsel as well. He rode the 350 at Dundrod. That might be actually the last time that bike won a race. Yeah.
That's right, I remember that. The forgotten era race. Yeah.
And Derek Young and yourself was in it, I think, were you?
I think it was. I think I only done it once on the other RG.
Yeah.
With Paul Card and Trevor, of course, as well. As we look at Glenn Irwin on the screen now. In fact, it looks like Bruce Anstey there as well. Bruce is out on, that's him. That's another TT winning bike. Of course, Bruce, who's won many TTs himself. The first time he won a TT was on a 250, and that was in was that 2 size? No. Can't remember. But
that was Callum Ramsey, who was Joey's teammate.
Rode that one as well. That's Glenn Irwin out in one of the 600s, as is Alan Irwin, and Ian Lougher there as well. So some really, really good riders, and these guys all raced against Joey as well. So I'm sure for them it's an honour for them to come here, and of course the weather is dampening things a wee bit, but it's still brilliant to see and hear these bikes as well, because we don't hear two-stroke motorbikes anyway, or smell them.
If you could bottle this and bring it home, I'd be getting divorced.
Exactly.
I've seen Ian Lougher there, and rumours, in fact, I think it's set in stone now that Lougher's going to Tandragee on a 600 on a patent.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
right,
what I heard this morning. So
good.
He's been going a long time, Ian, hasn't he?
He's been going a long time. Very, very talented rider as well. He's great. And of course, he's been living in Northern Ireland. He's like an adopted Ulster man now. He's been here for many, many years.
I'm starting to see him everywhere now. We go out for a walk and up Tullymore or something, and there he is. And
Good fella. And
he was thinking of stalking him.
There's another man's made his way back this year. Got a new set of leathers there and helmet painted up the same. He's got his old 350 Yamaha. He's going to have it out at the Classic Bike Festival, of course, in August. And that's Leslie McMaster we're talking about. Multiple short circuit and road race champion as well. Fantastic rider was Leslie. Won European rounds and all that sorts of things. So the guys from here, as we seen Glenn Irwin a moment or two ago, and the amount of fellas here that have really done it on the world stage.
I raced with Leslie before, Leslie McMaster at Kirkuson.
Yes.
And I thought, I wasn't too sure who he was. I was only a pup. I was riding Mark Kirkpatrick's TZ 350, and I thought, who's this boy here? And my dad says, you keep an eye on him. You'll never be able to catch him. And we were neck and neck the whole way, and he kept cutting me up, and I didn't know who he was until we got off the bike, and he introduced himself. He got off the bike as if he just wandered to the shop, and he came over to me for a chat, and I was buzzing. I think, but it's great to see him coming back, and he's got his own bike. He's got his new leathers.
His wife actually bought him that bike for his 60th birthday, believe it or not. So
she's a keeper.
She's a keeper. She definitely is. Looking on the screen there, I think that was Trevor Steele there that's going to be riding one of the Ray sawmills. Now, we talked about John Ray, then they were Ray Transport, of course, Ray Distribution now. But there was Ray sawmills, so Martin Ray, of course,
and Davy
supplied,
Ray.
And Davy Ray, and they supplied bikes for both Joey and Jim Dunlop. And I think Robert Dunlop, the first time I ever saw him race, was on the Amstel, and it was Enniskillen. What did they call the can't remember the name of the circuit. It'll come to me in a wee second.
Dennis Gilmore.
The airfield.
St Angelo.
St Angelo. Couldn't remember the name of it there. But St Angelo. And that was the first time I ever seen Robert Dunlop on a race bike.
And the race St Angelo then?
The race of St Angelo then, yeah. And he had a pair of Jim's leathers on him, which were a tad too big. But that was the first time I'd seen Robert. So all of these bikes that we're looking at here are iconic in these guys' careers.
These machines built road racing, really, didn't they?
They did.
Joey Dunlop built road racing. He brought road racing to the world, really, didn't he?
Whenever you think back, like whenever I started going, Ray McCulloch, of course, was another great. We talked about the Amstels there, the early TZ Yamahas, the Seeley frame. And Ray McCulloch and Joey, some of those races, and I can remember that. I was just starting to go to racing then, and that was like 76. 77. So, and Joey was just coming then.
Yeah.
Ray McCulloch was the man, and the two of them were great friends as well.
Here's a man we haven't seen in a while, Michael Pearson.
Another fantastic short circuit man, and roads as well. He was a really good rider. Was Michael? I was speaking to him earlier just for a moment up there in the paddock. But that's what I was saying. I followed Joey. Joey was just coming then. And he was totally different riding style to Ray McCulloch. Ray was all knees in, and Joey was a bit wilder with a knee out and whatever.
Like a new style.
He had like the new style.
Yeah.
But once he got to start to beat Raymond, and Raymond was coming to the end of his career at that time. He'd been at it a long time, and of course he retired, and that was Joey then on his way on these bikes. So I'm lucky enough to have seen him right through his career. I'm lucky enough that I got to know him, over the years, and a few occasions and a few stories. And, and it was great.
And he's helped a lot of riders as well in the past, and a lot of teams,
riders,
sponsors, 200 championship and all. He sponsored back in the day.
That's right. And there's guys like a good mate of mine that rode 125s. Another great man whenever we went to the TT in 125s, and he showed us around. Jimmy Rogers, I'm talking about. And Jimmy, there's times he was telling me about, maybe his bike broke down, and the rest of us was just working out, as most of us were, out of the back of a van with no budget, no money. And I know at times there where Joey would have lent Jimmy a cylinder. He says, look, I have a cylinder in the back of the van there, you can borrow it or whatever. So he was helping other riders probably on the QT, and there was no big thing about it, and he would have helped people, and he appreciated the people that helped him. And we're talking here, about all the bikes in his career, and I mean it's all there in the history books, but Of course, as humanitarian, we have to remember he had an OBE and an MBE.
Yeah.
And what he done for other people and taking food out on his own the whole way out to Romania.
That's
on
right.
his own in a van with a trailer.
And slept in the van.
And slept in the van.
We're just hearing there that all the spectators, if you could please give the riders a huge round of applause, a roar, standing ovation, make as much noise as you can out there, obviously, because these machines, as we said earlier, are just what built racing. These riders as well, there's Brian Reid. Brian Reid, his son Simon, of course, is racing
Simon,
the British Superbikes as well.
Seen Alan Irwin there, not a great friend of Joey. Some of them boys had some fantastic races together. We'll remember the Neil Robinson Memorial Race, and all the top boys then, when you think about it, it was like a BSB. Mm-hmm. All the top Englishmen come over for that. Of course, Smutty Robinson, another man from this part of the world who had a massive following, a massive talent as well, rode in Grand Prix, all that stuff. But again, whenever they came, and Alan Irwin was the top man, and we had all these English riders, Steve Spray and guys like that, and Joey beat them on the 500 Honda. Mm-hmm. Another man there we need to give a mention to, who also rode in Grand Prix, is Trevor Steele. I think he's riding one of the Ray Sawmills bike. There's Dennis McCulloch.
Dennis McCulloch as well.
And that's the bike that Dennis rode. That was Joey's bike.
Was that actual Laverty bike,
right? And Dennis bought that bike off him and had great success on it as well. That's the original fairings and stuff. Obviously, when he bought the bike, there's a lot of stone chips on it. Mm-hmm. Nostalgia. James Courtney was the man that year. He was coming up and won both the 250 races. And you can see the front of that bike at Dennis. But that's the way the bike come from Ballymoney. And Dennis took the fiberglass all off it, and so the bike's there the way it is. But I mentioned Trevor Steele. Mm-hmm. As I see Jonathan Ray here with the helmet off, waving at the people here.
World champion.
Fantastic to see him here. And great that he was out on the TZ 750. That's where it started with his grandfather. We're going to go to Stephen now, actually, with the man.
Well, Jonathan, what kind of experience has this been for you today?
Amazing. I thought there'd be a lot of people here, but it's blown me away how many people there is. And massive thanks to everyone sticking around in the bad weather. It was cool because in a parade like this, you can just pick people out of the crowd. I seen Linda Dunlop down there at the bar. I seen a good family friend Billy Gibson on the way up the hill, and Chris Esther as well, the motocross friend. He was down around the bar. So it's cool that you can pick people out of the crowd, and surreal experience.
I mean, Jonathan, there are thousands of people here despite the weather. They have lined the streets of Ballymoney to pay homage to Joey Dunlop. What is it like, not just riding a bike, but seeing so many riders on his machines today?
It's incredible. I was just talking to my brother there. It's amazing how many bikes, like actual original bikes, that they're working. That shows the mark of a man. That when you get to the end of a season and you've got a bike, most people need to sell a bike and the bike gets lost. But with Joey's bikes, they were that special that people held on to them because they were of value. A lot in the family, a lot of collectors out there. So it's so amazing that there's bikes ranging from Hondas, Yamaha, Suzuki. It's his whole career's been celebrated here today.
Jonathan, thank you. When all the riders have done one lap, we're hoping to try and get them all to do a parade of champions together, if that is logistically possible. We're going to try anyway, Jonathan.
Well, I'm waiting here for that, so if we're good to go for that, I'm ready.
Great, thanks, Jonathan.
Right, Jonathan Ray there. So, pity we couldn't hear what he was saying. But he's obviously.
He's smiling anyway.
He's smiling, yes.
And that's great. No, it is fantastic to see him here. And as we're saying, he was out in the TZ 750, the Yamaha. That's where really got Joey started off. Now he's obviously riding for the Yamaha World Superbike team, so it's great to see it has sort of come full circle.
So really, he couldn't have really rode anything else. He's contracted the Yamaha. He has to ride the Yamaha.
Yeah, that's true. And we talk about Joey's career, which started, and he started on a Triumph Tiger Cub. Now that's a wee bit before my time.
Oh,
just a bit,
sure.
Just a bit. But it was Yamahas and Yamsels, as we're talking about there, that got Joey's career started. But obviously then he signed for Honda and he stayed with them the rest of his career. But he did win on Suzuki as well. And in fact his first Ulster Grand Prix win was on Hector Neal's 500 RG.
Yes, yeah.
And again, beating guys like Stu Avant and Tony Rutter and Dennis Ireland and Stu Avant, all those guys who were riding in Grand Prix and all of that time. And that was Joey's first win, first Ulster Grand Prix win, 76 I think that was. But then if you fast forward to 1980, when Graham Crosby was leading the Formula 1 World Championship, and of course then it was between Suzuki and Honda, the two factory teams. And they drafted Joey in for the Ulster Grand Prix 1980, and that was to back up Graham Crosby, to keep the Honda boys back, to try and get Joey to win the championship. Graham Crosby. And of course Joey led it by a country mile, and I was there. He led it by a country mile, and he had to basically back off, and he came out of Leithamstown the last lap, and he was still looking over his shoulder to see where Crosby was. So he done the deal. That was the deal with Suzuki at the time, that he had to hang back and let Graham Crosby win for the points to lift the championship, which he did.
So he basically had to stop on the line.
Basically. And then the last Superbike race of the day was open. And Joey just blitzed it on the Formula 1 Suzuki.
Made a fool out of him, really.
Yeah, basically. But anyway, although that wouldn't have been his intentions, I'm sure he was frustrated to have to ride the team orders in the Formula 1 race.
Yeah.
But went out and absolutely blitzed the big race at the end of the day. Now, Suzuki made an awful big mistake there, because it was just after that where Davy Wood done the deal, but it was done again with John Ray and Davy Wood, and they done the deal with Honda. And that's what Joey was signed up to do, the Formula 1 World Championship. And as we all know, he not only done it once, he done it 5 times.
Yeah.
And that was the last one, of course, was 85. I was in France doing the thing there last week. Paul Ricard, funny Freddie Spencer was there, and can you believe that's 40 years from Freddie Spencer done the 250 and the 500 World Championships, and that was Joey's last year that won the Formula 1. And of course they were all riding in Rothman's Honda colours at that time.
The iconic colours of Rothman.
Rothman's fantastic. Lovely. They looked apart. There's Michael Swan, of course, Scott Swan. He's the boy of the moment, along with Glenn Irwin in the British scene. He's off there riding one of the 250s there as well. Can you believe the crowds down the streets here?
Unbelievable. There's Scott Swan this morning wasn't too sure whether he was going to get on a bike or not, but he obviously did. Michael Swan, his father as well, we've seen him out there earlier on, and what a man Michael Swan was on a bike. He never had the front wheel on the ground. Sure, he didn't.
And done road racing as well in his early career, and then of course concentrated on the short circuit stuff and won multiple championships, short circuit championships. Yeah, fantastic. And young Scots going really well. So we're still breeding them.
Yeah, they're still.
And of course Glenn Irwin's here as well, BSB. So hopefully we'll be rooting for our boys to bring this BSB championship home for the first time to Northern Ireland.
Fingers crossed.
But going back, I was chatting with Trevor Steele, another great friend of Joey's. And that was, I remember Trevor telling me about the Northwest, and that was the year, I think it's on the old Road Racers video, where the brake pipe rubbed out, gone down into Metropole. Ooh. And Joey went down, but Trevor Steele had done a conversion on the front mudguard. There was steel mudguard then on the front of them.
Yeah.
But Trevor Steele, a great rider, rode in Grand Prix as well, and of course one of the last guys to win a 350 race at the Ulster Grand Prix. So Trevor, of course, one of the Dramar destroyers. Again, there's fellas here that people mightn't be that sure of, or maybe don't remember them racing. I'm looking here, and I think that's Brian Hewitt, my mate Brian.
Yeah.
On the wee 125. I think he's on the NBA. He is.
Tucked in behind the policeman. Just to be safe.
And he was a great 125 rider. Road race champion in the 125. But rode again along with Joey and those boys, the 250s, and 350s as well. But of course, then Robert Dunlop, of course, was a great 125 rider, and himself and Brian had some fantastic races in all the road race round Ireland, north and south. Yeah.
Again, Robert on the 125. He stuck to the 125 for a very long time, didn't he? With the injuries that he had as well.
He did.
Obviously, the bike is lighter, it's less power, so it's easier to throw about, more nimble.
Yeah, but he was fantastic, and we know that Joey wasn't that big, but Robert was even smaller. So what those boys could do on superbikes, really, and I rode them, but I struggled a bit with with the strength. If you're a bigger frame, they're easier to ride, but. I sometimes looked at how these boys done this, especially around the TT in 6 laps. One of those is
phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Like I've rode superbikes around Cookstown, Tandragee,
and they're physical.
They are very physical, but to go around that Isle of Man course for even 1 lap, I think my tube would be out.
Yeah, that's it. And I see Brian Reid's here, looking at him here on the screen now. Of course, they're all Honda Britain bikes. This is the year that they were done the silver livery, which looked the part. And that's Brian, of course, was old Loctite. It was the Loctite Yamaha. And of course, Brian and Joey had some fantastic races as well. Of course, Brian was mainly Yamaha, and Joey was Honda, so there was a bit of rivalry there, not just the riders but the machine as well. So it's not very often you see Brian Reid on a Honda, but we're looking at him here now on one. And
in fact, whenever Brian Reid was going to do his test, the road test on the bike, and the company he was doing it for had to buy in Yamahas. So he could do his test. Yeah, they were all wee Hondas, wee 500s and stuff, and he had to fork out a load of money to get a load of wee Yamahas in for Brian Reid to do his road test.
Yeah,
it just shows you how serious and all it was, even still.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's all sponsorship. It's all, everything has to be done. To be done right. But again, Brian and Joey had some great races, not just in the Isle of Man, but all the road races around here. And when you look back at the likes of the old Cookstown, Tandragee, the Temple, the Cardor, all that stuff, and these guys were riders from here. I can remember you could have went, and there could have been a half a dozen riders from here could have went and won a TT. Yeah. So when you look at it, and even other guys that were, the likes of Conlaw, and but so many good road racers, and these guys was going and maybe doing a Grand Prix like Norman Brown as well, and Norman and Con went on that RG of mine. I wasn't even aware of this, but. They'd went and done Assen and done Spa and things like this, and they were so versatile. They were doing, When I look back now, we know the way the thing is, and but Joey Dunlop was known around the world, and a lot of these other guys as well. But Joey just had that special thing, whatever it was, and I think it was just the man himself, where he just went and done. The thing just as if it was
nothing.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
He went. Now he was determined. There's no doubt about that. He obviously was more different. I remember him saying about Phillip McCallen, who's obviously here as well. Again, teammates with Joey, and it was Joey helped Phillip McCallen to get into Honda.
Is that right?
Because after he got hurt in '89, Phillip was riding Kawasaki's, which weren't competitive, and they rode them at the Tandragee. One of them blew up at the Tandragee. I've seen a photograph of it there not that long ago, where smoke flying out of it completely sideways.
Yes, that was the big crash he had.
That was the big one
at
the Tandragee, and it was Joey then that put the word in with Honda, and of course Phillip was signed with Honda, and he spent the rest of his career with them too, until the last. We know he went to Yamaha, but he was injured at that time, and the writing was on the wall, and that's when he decided to retire. But definitely, it was Joey. Joey opened the door for quite a few people.
He did, yeah. And it's going back to what we were saying earlier. He was helping, he's helping other riders, he's helping competitors, he's competing against these people, but yet, if someone needed a clutch basket, if they needed anything at all, a piston,
if he could help, he would.
Yes, and he would. And he's like. Even with the Regal Championships back in the day, and closed the club at Agaday. I remember going to that, and all the road racers were there that went to Agaday, and then straight to Tannergee, Cookstown, you know, and then
that was the thing then. They went everywhere. You know, whereas now it's very different. You have the like of the guys that's from here that's riding in BSB. And you would never see them at a short circuit here. Maybe the Sunflower at the end of the year. But it's so competitive now, and they're all just dialed into that one classes like Glenn Irwin, who decided to step away from the Northwest to concentrate on the BSBs. Back in Joey's day, everybody done everything, you know, and which was fantastic. Like, who would have thought that Joey would have turned up with a works Honda at Ockadue to try and get a few miles on it and do whatever. That just would not happen today. So even though I'm a bit older than yourself, Gareth,
just a tad,
at least I've have seen that, and I've seen the best days of it, and this is why this is remembered so much. And
I was saying to you earlier that I always said when I was growing up racing, I was born in the wrong era, because I've rode the fresher machines, superbikes and whatnot, and don't get me wrong, loved it, absolutely loved it when I wasn't in hospital. But whenever, you know, the TZ350s back in the day, we have a wee TZ350, and I absolutely loved riding it. And then going from when I was going to Scarborough with Trevor, my dad, my granda, and you know, the crack, as they say,
it was fantastic.
It was unreal. But the money, you know, the sponsors, they don't want to see that. They want to see, you know, you go to the race and you go home, and it is a shame, but back in Joey's day, was something else.
Was it. And you know what? Everybody just stopped in the pub on the way home, and it didn't matter who won or who beat who or anything else. It was all, there was a social side. It was a big social side to the racing then, and it was fantastic. And the bulk of the people in the paddock had no money. You know, you were lucky if you got a sponsor. And that's why the smaller classes were so good. Yes, it was RG 500s. There was there's Ron Haslam. We're looking at him now. We're getting the pictures here on the screen. So great to see Ron Haslam. Ron and Joey very much alike in their way. And I can remember interviewing Ron at the Belfast Bike Show. He was over 1 year, and they were saying about they were doing it was like this Honda CBX 1300 thing or whatever, and they were doing some promo thing.
Like it was the release of
And anyway, the two of them were riding around, and one was on behind the other, whatever this, done a couple of laps or whatever. And Ron said, I don't know whether, I can't remember whether it was Ron riding or Joey was riding, but one says, "Do you want to have a go?" So the two of them just swapped round while the bike was moving. But Ron was very much like Joey as well, come from humble beginnings, and such a great talent as well was Ron Haslam. And rode a Grand Prix we own. And there's a lot of people here this evening that'll remember when Ron came to Kirkeston for the Sunflower with the Pepsi Suzuki, the factory Pepsi Suzuki. Now, couldn't you imagine Mark Marquez arriving at the Sunflower with the Ducati? It just, you know, but that's exactly what it was back in the day. And so Ron was another guy that never forgot where he come from. And again, won the TTs for Honda and stuff like that. But him and Joey really did gel very well.
Yeah, seeing Michael Rutter there as well.
Yeah, I'm still at it.
Still at it. Still, you know, it's phenomenal. He was another one that was going, you know, he's right BSBs as well. He's running the team now, his own team, the Bathams. So we're just hearing there, the main parade then is going to be starting in about 3 minutes' time. So everyone's getting themselves sorted. I think you're going out, Jeff, are you?
Yeah, I'm going out on the RG, but I'm not quite sure what time. So if somebody up in the paddock there can send me a text message, because I need to go and get my leathers on. Yeah,
I think they'll be probably heading off pretty soon. And of course, your RG 500. You've had a couple of them, haven't you, throughout the years?
Yeah, and this one that I'm riding, again, I know the guys that were organising this, and congratulations to them all for doing a great job. But what they were wanting was bikes that Joey raced against or whatever. So my RG would have been lined. Joey would have lined up beside that on quite a few occasions. Because riders like Conlaw, that bike actually finished second in the senior TT in 1983. And then after that, it was Gene McDonnell, another great rider from here, that rode it. Then the bike, it was Joe Miller that bought that bike new. Another great sponsor like John Wright. Then he sold the bike then to Tom Wilson, who was Albano Racing. That's what he called it. He imported flowers from Holland.
Right.
So it was Albano Racing, that's what he called it. And the bike was sold to them. But the only reason Joe would sell him the bike was that Eddie Laycock was to ride it. So Eddie rode this bike of mine as well. And there was other guys. Then it went to Sean McStay.
Yeah.
Sean McStay raced, another great rider from here, and Sam McClements even rode it. And it went on and on and on. Now, I knew there was a lot of miles on it because I restored it, but there's a lot of history with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't make up my mind whether in what tribute or who to paint the bike back to, whatever. So I just thought, well, I'm not going to pick one out of them. So she's just painted in the heron and the works heron colours that would have been in 1983. So yes, you'll see that out later on.
It's a beautiful machine, and the Weller. Do you want to get it dirty?
Well, I'm not worried about that. I'll make an exception.
Yeah.
Normally, when I do go to any of these things, if it's raining, then I don't usually take it out. But yeah, it's going round tonight.
Ian Lougher there on the 125, just getting a wee push, get going. He's done that many times.
There's Adrian Archibald, looks like, on one as well. There's Dennis on the 250, and that's Bruce Anstey on the other 250.
Yeah. It's great to see Bruce Anstey here as well, still doing his bit and doing interviews and at the Classic Bike Festival, wheeling his way around.
And again, another man like Ian Lougher, he lives here now. He lives in a hovel, does Bruce. They seem to like us here, but it's probably down to motorbikes. There's Alan Irwin in the old Farmley leathers heading out there on the Harris 600 Honda.
Well, it's definitely not down to the Weller, I can tell you that, Jeff.
No.
You can see them all going down, the whole lot of them by themselves then.
Yeah. So
or just tucked in, and I'm sure the temptation's there for some of them just to give it a wee blip, especially with some of them TZ 750s, I'm sure, or even the 350s. They'd be afraid of them oiling a plug, because them things, they're thoroughbred race machines, so really to keep them things going, you have to keep them going.
Keep them going. They are difficult to ride slow, and especially conditions like this.
Yeah. Leslie McMaster there, is it?
That's Leslie, yeah. And that's him out in Cleaver Brown's 250 AMC.
The AMC machine, yeah. A lot of these bikes too, back in the day, they were made in the garage, basically.
And a lot of people just done their own tuning, and as I was saying, built them into the different frames. And
you've seen the tank, the TT tank down below us here at the museum. It was Joey Dunlop welding maybe an inch and a half onto the...
That's right, and that tank was actually used one time previous by Sam McClements. Had used that, but it wouldn't do the 3 laps. So Joey borrowed it at the last minute, and I think he welded another inch and a half into the tank, even made the tank even bigger. And that's how he beat Honda. And that was basically Joey on the map. Because Honda had to stop. The big 4-strokes would only do 2 laps. Yeah,
it looks like the tank holds about 50 litres.
Yeah, and there's a great photo as well where Joey, because what they didn't do was put extra straps on, because they were only held on. They just sat into the frame, and like the old 350.
And the straps weren't the best of the best.
And the strap broke. So that would be like having a 5-gallon drum sitting on top of the frame, full of fuel.
And you're holding it on with your knees.
Round there, and that's basically what he done. And there is one where he's actually a photograph of Joey where he has his left hand on the top of the tank, holding it on. But when out, he was smart. Like even in the later years, when conditions was different and whatever. I can remember in Park Ferme in the Isle of Man before we went out, and Joey kept the tire warmers on to the last minute, and everybody else was waiting to see what tire choice he was going with, and if he went with one, that's what they went with. But he pulled it off at the last minute.
It was too late.
It was too late. There's no time. And that's the way it was. And it was like the very wet race in '97, and that was after Joey crashed at Tandragee, and he lost part of the finger, and it was broke everywhere. And to me, that was one of the most heroic rides for Joey at the TT. It was absolutely lashing, and he went out, and he probably knew they were going to cut it to 2 laps. other guys pitted in the first lap, refueled, and then the race was stopped after the second lap.
He was told before it, wasn't he? If it starts raining, stay out, sort of.
But he had it worked.
He had it worked out, yeah.
But even apart from that, and we've seen the videos of it, where the thing was aquaplaning on the wet road, and him just a couple of weeks after being injured so much. But that was him, and we talked about him being so loyal to Honda, and that's probably what he thought. Well, I have to go. I have to do it.
Yep.
But funny story, we were going out in 2000 up through Park Ferme. It just came into my head there, and I was going out and it was wet, and I had never rode round it in the rain before. Rode round it when it was patchy, but never in the rain. And just as I was walking out, Joey was walking out as well, and I said to Joey, I've never been round here in the rain, when it's been really wet, but the clouds was high, they were letting the session go, but it was wet. And I said, is there anywhere where I need to watch, or anywhere where I really need to be careful? And he goes, aye. Everywhere. And just walked off. But we're in the Manx Arms a couple of nights after, and he came in with a grin on his face, and he says, well, how did you get on with the wet? George said, to whatever,
Yeah,
yes, I can see why he done that.
Your eyes out on stocks, and
yeah, that's it. But no, he was brilliant.
Haslam away through there again, and you see Ryan Farquhar there waving.
Yeah, even though it's wet, these boys are enjoying this.
They are. They're grinning ear to ear, and I'm sure Johnny Ray on the TZ 750 about grinning
with slicks,
and
them like plastic.
Yep, able to squeeze onto the bars anyway. Yeah, I remember seeing the first time I ever seen a TZ 750 was at Akadui, Ian Morrell.
Yeah,
and I will never the TZ 750 is the bike that I have to ride before I die, sort of thing. And every single gear, it was just it was up every gear.
Yeah, they were fantastic. I was lucky enough to get a ride in one once, and they are something else. I have to say, fantastic bit of gear back in the day. And you look at them now, and you look at the modern bikes, and this was the thing as well. When you look back to the likes of Joey and the lap speeds they were doing on those type of bikes, like it was phenomenal. It really was.
It's even harder to believe that they actually used to race them speedway.
Yeah, and the TZ 750s, that's right. Kenny Roberts, they actually banned them.
They banned them, aye.
Yeah, they were that. But a bit of an animal, to be honest. But
I would say so. I'm just jealous of everyone that's ever rode one. Even a 500. My dad had a Lucky Strike RG 500.
Yeah,
lovely
rode
machine.
one.
It was,
aye, fantastic.
Oh, that was one of brilliant. It was one of the first bikes I ever rode, actually.
Is that right? Yeah.
Dundrod, we were heading down towards Glenavy then, and he jumped off and he says, "There you go, son." And that was one of the first bikes I ever rode, was an RG 500. I was about maybe 9-10 year old.
No, not perfect.
No.
You wouldn't get away with that now.
No, you wouldn't. No. Allegedly.
But no, all great. But
Davy Ray there just pushing the Yamaha up again.
There's Alan Patterson.
Is Alan Patterson?
Yeah, Alan's been out on something there. He's smiling anyway.
Funny, I recognise the leathers. I thought from Jamie wearing them leathers.
Yeah, and another great rider from here. Alan, of course, rode in Grand Prix for many years, European Championship, Grand Prix, and then came back to the roads at the last, which everybody was quite surprised about. And I mean, his lap record, 250 lap record at the Ulster Grand Prix and at the Northwest, and he'd done that for three sort of seasons, whatever, and was running with the best. As well. There's the iconic C850 Honda there, the Honda Britain bike there with Alex George on it there. Bernie Saunders working at it there. That's the guy that owns it. He's a real Honda man, and he has some fantastic bikes. I think Stephen is going to maybe try and get an interview here, so we maybe need to let him get on with that.
He is indeed.
I mean, what an unbelievable sight. More than 30 Joey Dunlop original bikes ridden by a cast list which is incredible. Alex George, what was that like to take part in?
Oh, it's fun because you're so close to the people, and it reminds me of the old days, looking over the hedge at Dundrod and all that stuff, The people are there and they're all cheering and clapping and saying, rev it up, do a wheelie, do a wheelie in this. You can't keep it up right now, do a wheelie. But, phenomenal. The contact with the crowd is immense, and they're into it. and it's an absolute joy. You know, I would do this every day of the week if I could.
How important was it for you to be here to honour the great Joey Dunlop?
Well, Joey, as you know, was teammate to Ronnie and I, Ron Haslam and I, and that team got so much out of Honda as improvement-wise that they wouldn't have got with just one rider, you know. And he's an absolute terror, he was. He wouldn't say very much, but what he did say, you listened to. And we had a back and forth all the time, you know. And great bloke, great family. I'm proud to have known the guy quite close, not living his life sort of thing, but you know, when we were racing, we were together as sort of soldiers against the rest of them, you know. Fantastic.
Well, it's been fabulous having you here today. Thank you.
Much.
Thanks very much, Alex, for the effort you made.
You guys, you're doing a great job here. Thanks a million.
Thank you. I think we're going to stay down here and try and interview as many different riders as we can. Jack, who's our cameraman, if we can walk over here and speak to the great Michael Rutter, who made a very special effort to be here from the Isle of Man. Michael, why was it important for you to be here today?
Oh, you know, obviously my dad raced against Joey, and I've raced against Joey, and you know, I was there that last race when on that senior when we passed each other several times, and what a phenomenal rider and ambassador to the sport, and to follow Joey, it was an honour as well, you know. And at the end of that race, he come up to me with a pint of bitter and put it down the table by the side of me and said, I really enjoyed that. And like coming from Joey, that, you know,
quite a compliment.
It was, you know, yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So yeah, fantastic. Just you know, unfortunately we lost him about 3 weeks after that, and yeah, he was definitely a special person. Like I said before, I've been in Hong Kong, in Macau, and all around the world, and you see Joey Dunlop t-shirts, and you know, you still see them today.
And what was that like to be part of that parade of champions at the end? All those Joey Dunlop machines parading in his hometown.
You know, it's like fantastic. It's just obviously shame the weather, but the crowds are fantastic. They're all clapping, cheering everyone, and you know, handshakes and patting everyone on the hand on the way past. It's emotional, really. You know, it's fantastic, and fantastic for the sport, and fair play to everyone, you know, for organising it.
Michael, thank you very much indeed. I'm going to go and speak to a few more riders. Phillip McCallen, who was instrumental in helping find all of these motorcycles as well, because a lot of them are privately owned. He was a teammate of Joey Dunlop's as well. I'm just going to shove you out of the way if that's okay. Phillip McCallen, how satisfying was that?
I think words can't even explain it, Stephen. You know, to ride round them streets of Ballymoney, you know, celebrating Joey Dunlop, representing Joey Dunlop, representing motorcyclists, it was unbelievable. The people was there, everyone there had love in their eyes, had a smile on their face. Like, you know, what else could you want?
I mean, what an achievement to get so many riders on original Joey bikes. It was an incredible scene seeing them around Ballymoney.
Well, you know how hard work it was putting all those bikes together. You know, we aimed for 25 bikes. We actually probably had about 30 original Joey Dunlop bikes. That's unreal. Nowhere in the world could that happen. But you've seen, you know, some of those bikes have came from Europe, some have came from the UK, and some have came from hidden garages here in Ireland.
Phillip, thank you very much indeed. It's getting really busy in the paddock here, but we're going to take a little walk down, because the bikes have all returned, obviously, if you just look at them here within the garage, all riding number 3 today, of course. The riders have all got a little bit wet today, but they didn't mind. And they're signing autographs. They're still here to sign autographs. We'll walk over this way through the crowd if we can, and just weave our way over and find a couple more riders. I can see young Scott Swan over here, who will try and get a word with. Scott Swan, who wasn't actually born when Joey Dunlop was alive. Scott, you're live on kingoftheroads.tv, people watching all around the world. I was just saying, you obviously never got the chance to see Joey race, because you're only, what, 22 years old. Why was it important for you to be here today?
I think because my dad's been such a big part of my career, getting me to this point, and he's got so many stories of him and Joey, and in the house it's all photos of him on the podiums and Joey's on the podium, and every day of my life since I was a kid I've heard stories about Joey Dunlop, and you see the helmet, any random road guy riding up the coast road, they've got a Joey Dunlop helmet on. So to be honest, it's a bit of a surreal moment right now, even thinking about it, and I want to say thanks, Stephen, for asking me to come, because riding up them streets, I had the biggest smile on my face as if I just won a BSB race. So to see that many people out in the drenching rain here, it is unbelievable.
And to be on board an original Joey Dunlop machine, taking part in a parade of champions, it was an incredible moment, wasn't it?
Like, it's surreal, to be honest, and I've been coming up here with Dad to go to Joey's pub all the time, and now there's going to be a big banner on the wall and me and Dad's signatures on it. And that's another thing. Me and Dad are both riding around on ex-Joey bikes, and he's the one that's made my racing career, and both of us are riding around, and the fans and everything. No, it's just absolutely amazing.
Scott, thank you. We're going to squeeze past you and go and speak to your dad, actually, because he's just over here. Michael Swan, who knew the great Joey Dunlop well. Michael, you're live. People watching all around the world. Can you just explain what that was like to be part of? You knew Joey very well.
A couple of people have asked me, and to be honest, it was just amazing to be part of it, really. You know, like I said before there in one of the wee interviews, he was more than, you know, the multi-world champion, and he was just a real good guy, and I think he's such a role model, perfect for the kids coming up, and I knew him on a social side as well a bit, and he was a fantastic guy off the track, you know, so helpful, and he always helped me as I was coming along with the ideas of the works bike and stuff. But fantastic, as I say, just to be part of it. I couldn't believe the amount of people down in the tune, as they say, but fantastic.
Real special day, isn't it?
It is special, and when you see the family there, and Linda and the daughters and Gary and all, it is a bit emotional, to be honest, too, really. It is fantastic to be part of it. It's good.
Yeah. Scott, Michael, thank you very much. Great to see Scott here as well. Obviously, this is a very emotional day, not just for all the fans coming, but for the Dunlop family as well. Linda, Joey's wife, and all of the children, Joanne, Donna, Julie, Gary, Richard, have all been a big part of pulling all of this together, and it's wonderful that all the grandkids have got to see what their granddad was all about today, seeing the people coming out. Glenn Irwin's actually with me here as well now. I'll try and get a little word with Glenn. Glenn, we're live on KingOfTheRoads.tv. Yes, a lot of people watching all over the world. What was that like to be part of today?
So, you know, you're up here today with a lot of phenomenal ex-racers, legends of the sport, obviously all in recognition of the biggest legend. And then you have the current crop, you know, young guns like Scott Swan, and everyone's standing here like it's Parc Fermé after one of those races where you've banged bars away to the checkered flag. There's a great buzz. Everyone's happy. The weather hasn't dampened the atmosphere here one bit. And 203 Ballymoney with that many people was an amazing experience, and we can only thank Joey Dunlop because of him we all got to have that great experience. Unbelievable.
And important for us to honour Joey today. He's so important, not just to the sport here, but to Northern Ireland in general.
Yeah, you know, very much, Stephen. Very important to honour Joey and also his family. You know, Joey spoke about every single day, you know, in the racing fraternity and much further, and I think his family are obviously a massive part of it, because really behind every successful bike racer is their family. So to be here and to put that on, fair play to whoever it was, yourself, Linda, and that green lighted this and made it happen. It's been so nice, I think, for them to see. Probably, I think Linda said to me earlier, a little bit overwhelming. I felt overwhelmed, so God knows how the Dunlop family felt. And yeah, thanks for asking me to ride one of those bikes. That was a real feeling of pride.
And finally, just to do it with your dad as well. Of course, you raced with Joey. That must have been so nice.
Yeah, I knew he was behind me the whole time, because I could hear that little 600 still revving. Yeah, amazing. You know, just sitting on the line before he went out and having some photos together. It's not something I've got to experience really with that much. So yeah, look, it's been a fantastic day. Like I say, I feel like I'm in Parc Fermé after one of the best races ever, and there's not many people in the world that can provide that feeling, and 25 years after he passed. Fair play, Joey.
Glenn, thank you very much indeed. Lots of photos, lots of autographs for you to sign. We'll leave it in Parc Fermé for the moment and hand back to the commentators. I'll go and find a couple more riders to try and interview if I can. We're going to stay with me, actually. We're going to stay down here, and we're going to walk down in here just to find a couple more riders if we can. Sorry, I was going to hand back to the commentary team there, but they must have gone for a cup of tea and they must be relaxing while we're doing all the work down here in Park Ferme. So we will head down here just for one or two final interviews before we finish, because a lot of the riders are still in the changing area, and I'm just going to bring them just to the front. Should I just squeeze past? I just want to try and get a little word with Ron Haslam. Ron, you're live with us at the moment. What was that like today?
It was fantastic. To ride his bikes, to come back over here, see all the actual fans and the crowds that's behind him. It's incredible. A tribute to him. It's fantastic.
Why was it important for you to be here today?
Mainly because obviously I used to come to Ireland a lot. I knew Joey as a good friend, and the fans and the public here is so much into bikes. It's just nice to be over here.
Well, thank you very much for coming and bringing the family with you as well. Adrian Coates is here too. Adrian, what kind of experience was that to ride one of Joey Dunlop's original machines in the Parade of Champions?
That was right up there with the last time I rode one about 30 years ago. It was just saying, start of the season, went to Kyrgyzstan on a Wednesday to run the 125 in. I was like 18 years old. And Joey was parked 2 vans up, and he had like 3 or 4 bikes to run in, and he comes and he goes, "Here, you wouldn't take some laps in this RC30, run it in for me." So got to do it then, doing it today. Fair play to everybody that's been here standing out in that rain. That was an absolutely amazing atmosphere, and thanks to the organisers, to yourself and to the Dunlop family and the Causeway Coast and Glens for putting this on. It is, I think, to a man, everybody will be so pleased they've seen that and participated in it.
Adrian, thanks very much indeed. Steve Cole's behind you as well. Steve, you raced against Joey many times. What was that like to be part of today?
Unbelievable. I can't believe the people here. Unreal. I think Joey would be thrilled with that.
And nice to ride one of his bikes?
Lovely to ride one of Steve, but I wouldn't want to do it again.
Well, thank you very much. Brian Reid's here too, world champion, of course, raced alongside Joey many times. Brian, what kind of experience has this been?
Today's been fantastic. It's just to see so many people, and the crowds are just waving everywhere. I can't believe the number of crowds that have braved the weather, and just goes to show that how popular Joey was after 25 years. He's still up there.
And to see all of those original Joey machines out on track at the same time in his hometown, I don't know about you, but I felt quite emotional seeing that.
Yeah, it's emotional, all right. It's hard to get bikes which are 30 years old to get going again and make their way up and down that circuit. It's fantastic to see.
Well, we're thrilled that you and all the riders could take part today. Brian, thank you very much indeed. Just a couple of final interviews, because the Northwest 200 record holder Alastair Seeley is here. Ryan Farquhar as well. Alastair, thanks for joining us.
No worries.
What kind of experience was that?
Unreal. My cheeks were sore from smiling the whole way around for those 2 laps, but big thank you to the guys obviously who let me ride the bikes. Joey's 125 there. I actually sort of put a request in for a couple of little tiddlers, 125, 250, because I was panicking about a big bike and not being able to get turned down at the bar, but everything was grand. The bikes run lovely. Just great to see so many people lined around the laid out roads there, and we were giving them a bit of buzzing the 2-strokes, letting the smoke and all the 2-stroke oil, let everybody smell it. So nice to be part of it. Obviously the weather has turned, but to still see the crowds here, and obviously it didn't dampen any spirits for us, and it was great turnout, and nice to be part of it.
Yeah, what an unbelievable crowd today coming out to pay homage to the great man.
Yeah, it's like 10 deep in places, maybe 15 deep. But as soon as we left up here at obviously the school, started onto the track, everybody was waving, high fives, fist pumping. Just with the gearing on the bikes, the gearing was quite tall, so we had to slip the clutch a bit. So once we got out of first gear, we were high-fiving everybody around the track, and it was nice to see, and it was good to be part of, and very honoured to be asked to come here and be part of Joey Dunlop event.
Alastair, thank you very much indeed. If you could send Ryan Farquhar over to me, just for one final word, that would be absolutely brilliant. Ryan Farquhar, of course, who holds the world record for the number of Irish road race victories. Ryan, I know you've flown in from the Isle of Man to be here. You wanted to be part of this event. Why?
It's just so special, I'd just like to thank the Dunlop family and for inviting us. you know, so emotional really, you know, it was right from as a child, always followed Joey, and I saw an old guy walking down the paddock earlier with an old Honda Britain jacket on him, and I remember I had one, my granda bought me one, the motorbike show, I think I was maybe about 7 or 8 year old, and it just brings back so many memories. But like the first time ever shared a racetrack with Joey was special, and then just things progressed on, and 97 would have been sort of the turning point in my career where Stephen Ewing bought me a competitive 250 Honda, and there's a few races earlier in the year where I was mixing it with Joey. I had a good race with him at the Northwest, and then to finish in the podium at the Ulster Grand Prix, Joey won the race obviously, and as third. It's just memories like that make it so special, you know, and it's just what an event. It's just a shame the weather, the rain came, but there must be 10 deep the whole way down the town, and just something, you know, it's truly amazing the amount of people that has turned out to, you know, show their respect to, you know, the King of the Roads.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Thank you very much for making the effort to be here and to ride one of Joey's bikes, which I know was really special.
Yeah, and that particular bike is really special to me. It's the swing arm that's in it. It's not a Honda part. It's a part that I got made for my 99 season when I was riding for Winston McAdoo, and you know, the part was sold on at the end of the year. Joey, he got it for the TT, and it's still in the bike. So there's a little bit of history in that bike, but you know, just massive thanks to Linda and Gary and all the Dunlop family for inviting us along. And even whenever you see some of the old hands this year, like Ron Haslam and, you know, all the stars of the, you know, the 70s and 80s, you know, it's just totally, you know, it's very, very special.
Ryan, great to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. I might be able to get one final interview if you can wait 30 seconds with Leon Haslam, who might come and have a little chat to it. Leon, is it possible to join us live for 2 minutes? It is. Last interview of the day. Save the best for last. Great to see you. I know you made a huge effort to be here. Why did you want to be part of this Joey Dunlop celebration?
I know Joey is an absolute legend, and obviously my dad was teammates with him back in the day. I know Gary and the family really well, and so many fond memories from the past, and you know, obviously it's an honour to come out here and ride one of the 25 bikes. It's been amazing.
Yeah, to see you all on Joey Dunlop bikes was an unbelievable spectacle.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know, all through his career, obviously all the stories that my dad used to tell me, so many good memories, and like I say, fantastic event, so many people turning out.
Thank you for making the effort to be here. Leon Haslam, thank you very much indeed. I think you'll all agree this has been a pretty special event in Joey Dunlop's hometown of Ballymoney. So many big names have come together to ride his original machines through his hometown, to remember his achievements as a motorcycle rider, but to remember how humble he was and all of the charity work he did off the motorcycle as well. He's one of Northern Ireland's most loved sporting ambassadors of all time, and I think ever will be. We hope you've enjoyed our live coverage on kingoftheroads.tv of this very special day in Northern Ireland. And on behalf of us all, I'm sure we'll give a big cheer to say goodbye from Ballymoney. Yeah.